Hey guys, Hunter Labrada here at Labrada HQ, about to do the final wrap-up question and answer for this year's Nationals Prep Series. All these questions are going to be coming directly from my Instagram, just taking them as I read them. I'm going to do my best not to butcher y'all's handles, so please forgive me if I do. I'm going to do my best to answer all of the questions. If you submitted a question and it didn't get answered this time, or you didn't have time to get a question in, be sure to keep an eye out on my Instagram, because I'm going to be doing these question and answers regularly throughout the off season, and I'll always just post up on my story the Ask Me a Question thing for y'all to get y'all's questions in. So, without much more to do, I am going to get straight into these. First, EL's J1992. What's your opinion on carbs around training only for off season? Obviously, carbohydrates are fuel, so you need fuel around training time. I'm a big proponent of consuming 50% of your daily carbohydrates around training time being pre, intra, and post. So that's what I do approximately, give or take, depending on the period of off-season we're in, but around 50% of my daily carbohydrates are consumed around training time. On to the next one. John_Smith_. How do you know when you're ready for your first show? Body weight, years lifting? How do you figure it out? So it all depends on what you're wanting to do. You know, anyone can do a show. It depends on the end goal, you know. So if you're wanting to truly take it the distance and you really made up your mind that you want to be a pro, a more long game approach might be more appropriate, taking a true long off season, taking time to build a very strong base to where you do diet down for your first show. You're not a string bean and you actually have some musculature to show. If you're just wanting to do it to get in shape or to have a goal, anytime's the right time to do a show. So that's my opinion on that. H-Hi.T, H-A-I-I-I.T. What was the hardest part of prep? The hardest part of prep for me was once I hit the point where my energy was so low, it was impacting my ability to, function at a normal level. So, I'm perfectly fine being hungry. I'm perfectly fine suffering. That's what I do for a living. I chose to be a bodybuilder. That comes with the territory. You're going to be hungry. You're going to suffer. You're not going to feel great. It's just those last 4 or 5 weeks whenever the food gets low enough to where I'm truly not really functioning well, that really bugs me. Not because, obviously no one enjoys feeling like that, but, it impacts my ability to, play with my daughter and to keep up with my relationships and, just kind of no matter how much I try, you're always going to be a little edgier whenever you're that starving. So I just don't like what it does to me, for my behavior. So that's what I don't like the most about prep. Sets and reps for calves. So calves, my go-to regimen, I train them 2 times a week. I will do 5 or 6 sets of standing between 15 and 25 reps, and then 4 or 5 sets of seated, same rep range, with at least 2 or 3 sets at each station to absolute complete failure, and with the last set being a triple drop set. The biggest thing for calves, though, that's going to make the progress is doing them correctly. Whenever you're doing a standing calf raise, everything should be rigid. Your lead knee should be locked out. Your hips shouldn't be moving back and forth. The only thing that should be moving is your ankle joint. You should get a full stretch, but not stretching so far that all the weight's just sitting there bouncing on your Achilles tendon. And whenever you go up, you should be all the way up as high as you can get on your tippy toes. Literally squeeze the calf like you're trying to flex it, and then think about finishing ankles forward, like actually pushing your ankle forward. Every single rep, that's going to give a maximum contraction. Bouncing up and down, using momentum, and using everything but your calves to lift the weight is never going to grow your calves. Next question. Danny Campy, 1999. What music do you listen to while training? Pretty much exclusively metal music. Huge fan of Parkway Drive, huge fan of All That Remains, huge fan of Lamb of God, Slipknot, just off the top of my head. Big fan of A Day to Remember, a little bit more on the punkish side of things. What else have I been listening to a lot lately? The Browning, Architects have been on repeat a lot lately. I said All That Remains, but their new CD's bomb, so if you haven't seen it, check it out. Going from here, do I have a preferred workout time of the day? From RK3_3R. My preferred workout times between 12 and 1 in the afternoon. because that allows me to get up and have 2 meals in me, because I don't like training on just 1 meal. But it's early enough in the day to where I still have a lot of energy and I haven't really done much yet. And that's also kind of typically the time that it's like a lull when it comes to in-person training, because I still do some in-person training and whatnot, so it works well. I'll get up in the morning, eat breakfast, I'll work from my computer for 2 hours, then get ready for the gym, eat again, and go knock it out. So that's my personal preference. Franco Maldonado 2, how much cardio do you do? So this last prep, I was on the stairs 30 minutes doing intervals every single day except quad day from 12 weeks out and in. It never went over 30 minutes. It never got below 25. How's your calorie intake? So full-blown, middle of the off-season, we'll be eating like 350 grams of protein, around 750 grams of carbs, and around 100 grams of fat. So you can do the math on that. Right now I'm reverse dieting back up to those food amounts, so don't really know off the top of my head. Wyatt_647, your must-eat foods while bulking, a meal you try to include daily and what it consists of. So must-eat foods when bulking, or whatever foods your body personally processes the best, because when we're bulking, we're eating a caloric surplus, which typically means it's a ton of food, which is already hard enough on your GI system. So where to start? I'm a huge fan of cream of rice, obviously. Y'all have all seen my cream of rice parties. I eat a lot of white rice in the off season. I eat a lot of oatmeal in the off season. And then I do a lot of red potatoes in the off season too. All those carbs sit really well on my stomach, especially the cream of rice and white rice. It's like I didn't even eat no matter how much I ate of it. So those are my go-to carb sources in the off season. ThomasMichael.02, will you do an off-season series? Absolutely. I have, I think, probably 9 different cities or areas planned already. I'm going to be doing like 1 a month. We're going to be flying out to these locations, training with the top professional amateur bodybuilders, and then doing some really cool stuff outside of the gym in every area too, just depending on what the area has to offer. So be sure to keep an eye out for those. All of those will be released on Labrada Nutrition's YouTube channel, and I'll be sure to let y'all know when they're going to be dropping on Instagram. Brett Wilkin, when are you coming out to the Mile High Mecca to Denver to get some real training in? As soon as possible, brother. I appreciate the invite. Let's get through these busy holidays, and I'm there. Armbrust is actually one of the gyms that's on the list of gyms I'm visiting, and you're actually one of those top professional bodybuilders I was talking about, man. Hope all is well. Enjoy your Christmas. Derek Dunterman, how do I know if I'm cool enough to come to the cream of rice parties? Anyone's cool enough to have a cream of rice party. And in fact, if you're not cool, having a cream of rice party might make you a little more cool. Arlie P369, my bench press has not increased after more than a year. I weigh almost 260 and I'm still stuck at 175. If your strength hasn't gone up in a year and you've been consistent with your training and consistent with your food, I'm not trying to be mean, but you are not doing something right in the gym, whether it be your form or how much volume or how much load you're pushing. You'd literally be a scientific anomaly if your food was on point and you were consistently training and you weren't getting stronger. So like I said, not trying to be mean, but definitely take a look at what you're doing from head to toe. Make sure you're getting enough protein. I always recommend at least 1 gram per pound of body weight. Make sure you're getting enough carbs. I always say if you're trying to bulk or get stronger, at least 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. Make sure when you train, you're getting at least 14 to 16 sets per big body part in, and make sure at least half of those sets are to real, true, like painful failure. Doing that, there's really no way that you shouldn't progress in your strength as long as you're progressively overloading, meaning you're not just walking in there and doing the same thing every single time. So, yeah. Snipes316, your coloring looked amazing. What did you use and what's your process? I've used Protan for every single one of my shows. They've always taken great care of me. I've got a girl that has sprayed me for every single one of my shows except one actually, so we got it down for me. We just use the Protan products to tan me. A lot of what goes into having a good tan is taking care of your skin as you get closer to the show. Getting a tanning bed starting at 4 weeks out, as much for the color as it does to dry your skin out and reduce imperfections such as acne and stuff. Don't start shaving 2 weeks before the show. Really start shaving with a razor regularly, maybe 8 weeks before, so your skin gets used to it and you don't break out with a bunch of razor bumps and stuff. Never shave the day of your tan, always shave the day before, and make sure you exfoliate really, really good after you get done shaving and you take that last shower before your tan, and your color should come out pretty spot on. Arjun Racing, is the Olympia your ultimate dream? How long do you think it will take you to compete for that? The Olympia is my ultimate dream. I'm planning on stepping on the Olympia stage for my first time in 2020, my rookie season of bodybuilding as a professional. So that's that. In the game right now, who's your favorite bodybuilder? Out of the current crop of guys, I'd have to say my current favorite bodybuilder is Flex Lewis. As much for his crazy-ass physique as it is for the example he sets to us younger guys. He's a perfect example of how you can be an awesome family man, father and husband, a top professional athlete, a very successful entrepreneur, and just enjoy the hell out of life all at the same time. So Flex is definitely my favorite right now. McMangus_84, how do you find jeans that fit? So I found jeans that fit because Gasp makes jeans made specifically for people like me. Until I was sponsored by Gasp, I would buy the stretchiest, loosest fitting jeans that Buckle had to offer, and even though they were like that, my waist's 31, 32, I'd have to buy 38s to fit my legs in it, and I'd have like Subway diet waist and have to like crank a belt on to keep them on. The Gasp jeans, I can wear a pair that's true to waist size. I don't have to wear a belt. There's no Subway waist. They actually fit like not loosely, they fit like nicely. They look like nice jeans and they're super stretchy and super awesome. So that's how I fit jeans that fit. How many cream of rice parties do you have per day? When I'm on prep, I have 2 cream of rice parties per day, 1 pre-workout and 1 post-workout. In the off-season, I typically have 1 cream of rice party per day, and it's a pre-workout cream of rice party because I'll do a carb powder and a whey isolate after training, and then eat a whole food meal about an hour and a half after that in the off-season. What is your mindset goals going into your next show as an Ifbb pro? No different than they were the last 5 shows that I've done, and that's to win. Plain and simple. Do you ever plan on compete at a heavier body weight, such as 290 stage weight or so, from Case and Love 1? Absolutely not. So this last show, I was about 240, I weighed 240 at weigh-ins, and after we dropped my water and stuff, I was probably like 235, 236 on stage. When it's all said and done, I think the way that my physique will look the best and flow the best will be around 245 to 248 pounds of stage weight. So I never, ever, ever, ever want to weigh 290 anytime. There's no reason for me to, and that's brutally unhealthy. The heaviest I'll probably ever go in the off season is like 270, 275. Hit 270 this last off season, but it was a little sloppy, and we're definitely planning on keeping things tighter this off season. So Kobe Todd _13, what's your favorite protein to use for the cream of rice party? I personally like using our Labrada isolate. If I want to be mixing in a bunch of flavors and crazy stuff, I'll use the vanilla just so it's like a base, and then I can add in my fruits or jellies or jams or this or that. If I'm on prep and I'm close and I can't do any of that, I'll typically do the chocolate protein with a little Walden Farms syrup, and it's spot on. So Bram, Ramikers, and a couple other people asked, your best tip if you have your first competition? My best tip for your first competition is don't do anything crazy the last week. So many people just do everything perfect for the first 15 weeks of their prep, and they're loving how they're looking and they're coming in spot on, and then they go with the super bro sciencey method of filling out, like, oh, I'm gonna do a burger and fries or a bunch of juice or eat a bunch of like crappy ass desserts to carb up on. You were happy with how you looked a week ago. Why are you gonna mess with something that badly? Pull your water back a little, maybe reduce your salt a little. If you're gonna start pushing carbs or you want the extra fats like people want from the burger, do it in a method where you can measure it. Use 96 4-gram beef or 90-10 sirloin and be able to measure the salt and the fat and the sodium. Don't just eat a cheeseburger from somewhere or a slice of cheesecake, please, for the love of God. So that's my number 1 tip. My second tip, and this is the one that I'll tell everyone, have fun with it. Backstage, don't be that person that's looking around mugging people, acting all hardcore. What we do is not hardcore. We get in banana hammocks and put on baby oil and pose for judges. It's a glorified beauty pageant. Not disrespecting my sport. I love bodybuilding. It's my passion, but at the end of the day, it really is a glorified beauty pageant. You're not showing up and fighting someone. You're not showing up for a powerlifting meet where you have to lift and perform. You're not running a race. You're not doing anything like that. All the work is done. The best thing that you can do the day of your show is to relax, have fun, and make friends, because that's going to keep your stress low and in turn keep your cortisol low, and you're going to look your best. Those are my two main tips for a first-time show. How do you feel mentally transitioning into off-season and putting on fat? From S.J. Simon Jones. I actually really enjoy the off-season just because I'm blessed to have a fast metabolism. So in the off-season, I'm on a strict plan in the off-season, but like if I want to go eat with my friends or go get a beer with a buddy and eat some chicken wings or something, I can. So adjusting mentally to it, I think the roughest periods, the first 2 or 3 weeks after the show, especially this time because I was on prep for like 32 weeks straight this year, is adjusting to the fact that I can leave the house without a cooler full of food. I can go 3.5 hours without eating. My body's not going to implode if I go past 3 hours like I act like it will on prep. If I miss a meal, it's not the end of the world. And all those things, it's because for the last 32 weeks, that's been like the absolute worst thing that I could do is be behind on my food or mess up anything to do with bodybuilding. So the first 3 or 4 weeks, I always found myself having a hard time transitioning, like turning it down a little. I'm not going to say turn it off because I can't turn it off, but turning it down a little. And once off-season starts, it gets turned right back up. I treat off-season like prep, but it really is important to give your body and mind a break after shows, especially doing 2 like I did. So maybe I just need to listen to myself and take my own advice. You're never a prophet in your own land, right? Okay, let me go to the other one that I posted to make sure I don't miss any people's questions. Okay. How do you and your significant other handle the struggles of prep? From C Story 52. First and foremost, everyone's relationship's going to be different. Everyone's personalities are going to be different. Some people are going to be more understanding than others. In my particular situation with Misty, she had a very strong background, not in competing, but in being in the gym and with dieting and stuff. And I always joke, we met when I was 11 weeks out from Junior USA's, and so she was with me through that whole prep. So things were new enough that time that I was on my best behavior, if that makes sense, but she still got to see how badly I suffered the last couple weeks, especially on that prep. So going into this important one, the Nationals one, she kind of had an expectation of what to expect. The biggest thing that you have to remember, and this is what I preach to myself and what I do my best to do, and what everyone needs to keep in mind as competitors and regardless to your significant others, you made a choice to do this. You made a choice to be on the diet, you made a choice to have to do the cardio, you made a choice to have to do the training, you made a choice to have to eat the food, you made a choice to not be able to go out and do some social events. Everything you did is a choice. No one is forcing you to do this. There is no need to be in a terrible ass mood because you're missing out on things due to your choice. If you don't want to be missing out on those things, you don't want competing bad enough to be doing it anyways. You shouldn't do it, and especially if you're putting your significant other through hell. I'll be the first to say I had my moments on this prep and that Misty put up with more than she deserved to put up with it sometimes. But at the end of the day, those times I did, was out of line, I was able to calm down and realize what happened, and I apologized for it because, it's not something that needs to be taken out on anyone, let alone someone that's there for you and loves you and supports you the way that significant others should and the way that mine does. So, it's definitely a strain. I'm not going to say it's not, because even if you're perfect, sensei mode at keeping yourself in line, those last couple weeks, you're so hungry and you're suffering so bad. You're like a shell of your normal self. We joke all the time. It's like the last 2 weeks, she's been like, I have my boyfriend back. And it's like, I feel like I'm back. I don't feel like myself the last couple weeks of prep with everything that's going on. So that's how we handle it, and that's kind of what I tell people to do when they're thinking about trying to handle it. Is it okay to use lean sources of pork in your diet? I'm not a huge fan of pork. It's a dirty animal. It's got a ton of parasites in it typically. If you're going to eat it, I guess pork chops and leaner cuts are going to be okay. That's my personal take on it though. JM Cummins Fit. What was the biggest adjustment between this prep and other preps? To put it bluntly, I suffered a lot more in this prep. I ate less, we did more cardio, I trained harder, we went longer in between refeeds, whole 9 yards. We just suffered more. In the future, Avina Benajeri, sorry if I butcher that, are you planning on competing in 212 or the Open? Seeing as I weighed 240 pounds for this last weekend, And my main critique was bring your backup. I will be competing in open. Like I said, eventually I see myself going, 245, 247 on stage. When it's all said and done, this last show I was 235, 236 on stage, 240 at weigh-in. So 212s is out of the cards. I'm too tall for it. Do you do any kind of carb cycling during the off season to prevent insulin resistance? I personally do not, but like I said, I have a very fast metabolism, and it is something that I do keep an eye on regularly. I'll take my blood glucose fasted every once in a while in the morning just to make sure my fasted blood glucose is in check, but I'm a carb burning machine, if I'm being honest with y'all, so that's not an issue that I typically deal with. While on the subject of carbs, Mani Maz, highest intake of carbs in the off season. This last off season, at the peak of the off season food, we were eating 750 a day. And personal favorite pose would probably be my side tricep, and my least favorite would probably be either my back double or my rear lat spread, just because I know they need to come up more. Not that I don't like them, I think they're pretty, they just need more meat everywhere. And that is that. Alright guys, so that's about all the questions that I have time to get to today. Before I sign off, I just really, from the deep down bottom of my heart, wanted to say thank you to everyone that's followed along, not only for this prep series, but like for all the ones we've done in the past and just my amateur career in general. Y'all motivate me more than you know. Getting online and seeing all the positive feedback and comments and just pats on the back that I get from y'all really does make a difference, really does keep me going on the tough days. So really, like I said, thank you for the support. It means the world to me. Going into this off season, I'm going to be bringing y'all a ton of really cool regular off season content. Definitely be getting interactive with it, doing Q&As, asking y'all what you would like to see, and just really trying to keep things interesting this off season. That content will all be released on Labrada Nutrition's YouTube channel, so that's where it'll live. And then I'll obviously let y'all know when it goes up on my personal Instagram. And like I said, just thank you. I feel very, very blessed to be able to say that I do what I do for a living, and it's because of y'all that I can say that I do that. I promise you that I'm going to bring something pretty cool to the pro stage for my pro debut. I'm going to be working harder than ever to continue to build on the momentum that we got this year. And I'm looking forward to doing big things in the pro leagues, and I'm looking forward to having y'all following along with me. See y'all next time.